Hi, welcome back to the Daily Increment. I'm Daniel Susser, Agile Coach, and today we're going to be looking at the lean canvas through the lens of a mask business, because there's apparently a pandemic on. So what the lean canvas is a way of describing your whole business idea very simply. Last couple of videos we've been looking at a test and learn approach with the build, measure, learn, lean startup ideas. We've been looking at talking to customers. In fact, I've written it down so I don't have to remember. We've been looking at how to get problem solution fit and where the lean startup fits into that. So then, if the lean startup is based around running experiments and trying stuff and building it, what do you build? And in order to answer that question, you need to answer, what is your solution? What is your business? What is the thing you're trying to do? So there's this wonderful book by a guy called Ash Mora called Running Lean, which I stole this from. I'm stealing all of these ideas. I didn't invent them. And the lean canvas is a way of representing your whole business in one page so that you can make some decisions for the first iteration, test things that need testing and move on. So I'm going to give an example of how to run through this thing. I had an idea a couple of weeks ago. It was the pandemic and I'd forgotten my mask for the bajillionth time. I thought, wouldn't it be amazing if you could have a mask in a pouch that attaches to your keyring? So just like a little pouch with a little button or a zip or something, you can shove your mask in it and it's got a little keyring loop on it. It'll be super cheap, it solves a problem, bingo. So I'm gonna describe the lean canvas of the mask pouch idea. I haven't thought of a name of it yet. Feel free to comment, maskpouch.com. So it starts with this. There's a problem that you think exists in the world. I think that problem is called, I keep forgetting my mask. I keep leaving it at home, I'm not allowed in the shops. The first thing you do is, in the lean canvas, is work out what you think the problem is. You then go to the bit over here, which is the customer segment. Who do you think has that problem? And not just who do you think has that problem, but who has it the most? Who's the ones that you want to target? Who is your small customer segment? So I could say everyone, because everyone needs to wear a mask nowadays, but that's not a useful customer segment. That's not small. It's going to be hard to target them. It's going to be hard to really get anyone. It's going to be hard to get everyone excited about this idea. So who's the group that I'm most likely to be able to get excited about this idea? So I've picked up three different ideas. So one is city dwellers. Why? City dwellers who I think are more likely to walk to the shops. Because then if you're a car user, you'd probably put your mask in the car. So I think I've got like a design reason to think that city dwellers, millennials, because I'm a millennial, so I understand these people more. It'll be easier for me to market and talk to them. Also, millennials are sort of forgetful and God, we're so caught up in our Instagrams and our blogs and our Nintendos that we don't do responsible things like remembering your mask. So I think maybe millennials and people with no children, because I reckon that like part of getting your children ready to leave the house probably involves putting a mask on them and therefore putting a mask on yourself. So that's some assumptions about a customer segment. I could probably narrow that down to like, I don't know, people who live in a certain type of city or even further than that. But for now, that's what we're going to work at. So I reckon I'm trying to solve, I keep forgetting my mask for city-dwelling millennials with no children who walk to the shops. The next thing we're going to look at is, what is the solution? So I know that these people keep forgetting their mask. The problem is not, it would be great to have a pouch, because that's not a problem. That's not something you get annoyed about. Oh, I wish I had a pouch. The problem is a human problem, which is agnostic to any type of business idea. The problem is I keep forgetting my mask and now I'm not allowed to go shopping and now I'm hungry. So that's what I mean by problem. The interesting bit then is the solution. Well, I think my solution is mask pouch on a keyring. So that's what I think is the big solution. People keep forgetting their mask. Sell them mask pouches on keyrings. Okay? And then I've got a way of saying I think I'm going to be able to sell mask pouches on keyrings to these people in order to solve that problem for them. So then we work out what is the value proposition there. I think in the book maybe he does value proposition before solution, but you'll have to forgive me. So a value proposition is like, how would you describe the benefits of your thing very succinctly? So I'm going to call it, remember your keys, remember your mask. Catchy. I don't know if that works, but this is what I'm going to start brandishing everywhere and say to people, does that resonate? So now I've got a way of capturing what this is, what's the solution and for whom, and I've got a value proposition. So now what is my unfair advantage? Like, why am I better placed to do this than like some other big organisation, and I think I've got an unfair advantage because I'm the first mover. No one else is doing this. That's probably not true, but for the purpose of the lean canvas experiment, yeah, no one has invented the mask pouch on a keyring. So I have first mover advantage, which means that I am well placed to do it. So it's good for me to recognise that. The next one is key metrics. Well, okay, I'm going to start doing this. How do I measure whether I've been successful or not? So the number of purchases is what I'm going to measure. So basically, my business is successful if lots of people buy these mask pouches from me. Channels, what am I going to use? Well, I reckon that like Facebook Marketplace is a good one because it's like local people and people will trust you there. I reckon that Etsy is a good one because maybe I'll hand make them for the time being. And I'm going to advertise it there through Etsy and on Facebook Marketplace. And then maybe I'll do some social media advertising. That's what I think is where these people are. Cost structure, I think it's going to cost me £1 a mask to make and to send. I'm going to spend some money on advertising, but I haven't worked out how much. And I think my revenue could be £3 per pouch. And bam, that is pretty much a whole business and all the useful bits of a business case put into one page. Why is that useful? Because I can now go and say which bit of these am I most sure about and which bits of this am I least sure about. And the ones that I'm least sure about, I can test them, and I can test them very precisely and not have to build a whole pouch manufacturing operation in order to test it. And the future videos, we're going to be looking at the wisdom and the ideas contained in the Lean Startup for how to test the things that are in your Lean canvas quickly, cheaply, without having to build the whole thing. So for example, and I'll just give you one teaser of what this might look like, I assume that millennials are really forgetful. So what I should do is I would go and do my my mum test type questions to find out what problems millennials have. I think the value proposition, and the mum test is a very, very cheap and quick way of validating whether this is true. I can go and find people that look like this and go and talk to them for free. Remember your keys, remember your mask. I think that's a really good value proposition. But what happens if I put a Facebook ad out in the world that says, remember your keys, remember your mask, and no one clicks it, and I've built a £10,000 operation reliant on the idea that remember your keys, remember your mask is a big deal. This could be the thing that sinks me. So the next thing we're going to look at is how we could use something called a smoke test to test that very quickly without having to check all of this. And then if I'm pretty confident in all of the other bits of the business model, then I can go ahead and launch it and try and find product market fit, finally. But first of all, you've got to be able to test your key assumptions, and we're going to look at how you might do that in some of the next videos. Thanks.